mind. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of IET with Mike C. Man, I am so glad to have you with us here again today, and I am praying, not just hoping, but I'm praying that your day is as blessed as mine is. And every day, as some folks say that we're above ground, regardless of what's going on around us, it's a blessing. Amen. Now, look, on our last show, we talked about Roe versus Wade, and we talked about a woman's right to have an abortion. But we also talked about what I believe is underneath the surface of Roe versus Wade, and that is power and control. Yes, Roe versus Wade is about a woman's right to choose. Look, there's something that God gives every last one of us. It's the same thing. And that's free will choice. Now, free will choice doesn't mean that you can decide, hey, I want to go into this theater and blow up everybody in the theater with me. No, that's not what free will choice is about. Free will choice is actually a personal thing. And what it comes down to, the root of it is deciding if you're going to choose God or not. But also, it's about choosing other things in life as well. And what I have asked people who are in opposition to Roe versus Wade, what I've asked them to do is this: go in the Bible and find me somewhere, anywhere in the Bible, where you'll find a passage, where you'll find a sentence, where you'll find a paragraph that talks, what says God will force you to do what he wants you to do. You won't find it because it's not in the Bible. That's not free will choice. So if God gives us free will choice, as long as it doesn't inflict with someone else's choice, why should we take that away from one another? Why should our politicians, why should the Supreme Court take that away when God gives it to every last one of us? So for all of you folks out there who are claiming to be such strong and dedicated Christians, Christianity is not about you forcing someone to believe as you believe or to do what you think is right. That's not Christianity at all. Christianity is about love. It's about understanding. Christianity is about empathy. It's about all of those things, not someone deciding what they think things should be. You know, I thought we got past that because back in the day, a few hundred years ago, they burned women, some men, but primarily women at the stake, claiming they were witches. That was all about taking away choice as well. So we have to move on past that. Roe versus Wade, I'm not for abortion, but it's not right to force someone to believe as you believe, members of the Supreme Court. It's just not right. So today, what we're going to do is I've been doing a lot of reading. And this is something that actually started to become somewhat prevalent around 2015. Ironically, around the time that Donald Trump decided to run for president or announced that he was running for president. I believe that was in June or July of 2015. And what began to be written about a lot and talked about, but not necessarily on TV. I haven't seen anyone from either of the major networks talk about it. There have been some specials, though. But as far as from a news perspective, I haven't heard anybody talk about it. And that is the eerie similarities between Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. The eerie similarities between the Nazi Party and the Trumpsters. It is flat out scary, and we have to look at it. If it's not true, if there's nothing there, then the evidence will prove that. But at this point, I'm saying that the evidence that I've seen points in that direction. So let's start with conservatives losing control, which happened actually in both Germany during the 20s as well as during the rise of Trump in America. Does anyone remember the Tea Party? Do you remember the Tea Party? At one point, it looked as though the Tea Party was actually in control of the Republican Party. But the Tea Party has disappeared. I don't recall anyone mentioning Tea Party at least last 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years. Haven't mentioned them at all. The populist right-wing conservatives have taken over the Republican Party. What happened to the conservatives? What happened to the Tea Party? Well, the rise of the right-wing populist, Donald Trump. Conservatives ran Germany until the rise of the right-wing populist, Adolf Hitler. Trump's slogan, "Make America Great Again," guess where that slogan also was popular? You see, Germany after World War II, which they lost, that's where you started hearing that. Make Germany great again. That was after losing World War I. Both parties succeeded nationwide failures. In Germany, as I said, it was losing World War I. In America, it was the Great Recession of 2008. Now, the author that I read a lot of this from, I'm giving him credit, his last name is, I'm not sure if it's Kehoe or Coe. I have a friend who says, well, it's probably Irish, so it's probably Coe. It's spelled Kehoe. Kehoe. So it's either Coe or Kehoe, something like that. Well, he said that in the 20s, Germany's conservatives supported the right-wing populists on the belief that the conservatives would control business and industrial policies, while the populist Hitler and his crew focused on popular conspiracy theories. Does that sound familiar? Popular conspiracy theories. Focus on Jewish bankers, Freemasons, and Catholic societies. Well, since the 2016 election, conservatives have made a similar deal with the right-wing populists to enthrall voters with wild theories. Theories about Mexican immigrants. Mexican immigrants, they're all terrorists. They're all gangbangers and, criminals. That's who's coming over here. And yes, we've had some tragic incidents where you have had immigrants who have killed American citizens. But guess what? You've had American citizens kill American citizens also. I could understand if you're saying, if you can prove and show me that more than 50% of the immigrants coming over here from Mexico and Central America, if you can show me that more than 50% of them are committing heinous crimes, you might have a point, but that's not the case. Not at all. The Nazis believed that a small minority of fanatics could gain power over large numbers of more or less and indifferent voters. In America, the Republicans were able to gain the presidency after losing the popular vote in year 2000 as well as 2016, which was Donald Trump. Republican-controlled state legislatures, similar to the Nazi Party in Germany, have changed laws to specifically maintain control. Look, do you guys remember in the state of Florida, the governor outlawed protest? He outlawed protest. But when the FBI went into Mar-a-Lago legally to gain access to paperwork that Donald Trump was supposed to have turned back in that he didn't, and folks were on the Republican side were saying, well, he worked with them. He did. He was doing this. He wasn't working with them. There's proof that he wasn't working with them. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that for you real quick. Okay, for those of you who want to continue to say Donald Trump was cooperating with authorities and there was no need for them to go into his home at Mar-a-Lago, read this here for you. An inventory of the material taken from Mr. Trump's home that was released on Friday showed that FBI agents seized 11 sets of documents during the search with some type of confidential or secret marking on them, including some marked as classified, TSI, SCI, shorthand for top secret, sensitive compartmented information. Information categorized in that fashion is meant to be viewed only in a secure government facility. So stop with he was cooperating the whole time. If that was the case, then that information would not have been at his home. Back to the similarities between Trump and Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party and the Trumpsters. One of the articles, as I said, was written by an author, a guy by the name of, the last name is Kehoe, either Cole or Kehoe, something like that. The author states that a key rise in power for the Nazis was the purchase and access to the media, particularly popular media of the time, newspapers. Then later, radio, which was used to shape the Hitler myth, as well as shaping followers into fanatics. Trump and his followers, along with support from Fox and its horde of right-wing fanatics, such as Tucker Carlson, have been able to do the same in current-day America, shape the Trump and populist fanatical myth of Trump, use wild theories to spread lies and instill fear into their followers about immigrants, instilling hatred, basically. Enough hatred that young men in numerous occasions have driven hundreds of miles to kill innocent people. Do you remember some years ago when they had the killer in Norway killed something like 68 people? Out of the 68, it was either 68 or 69. It may have been 69, 8 adults and 61 children who were under the age of 18. When authorities showed up, he laid his weapon down. He sat his weapon down and turned himself in. And when asked why he did this, he said that he wanted to kill future liberals. He wanted to kill, he killed children. He didn't know if they were going to be liberals or conservative. He didn't know, but he thought that they were going to be liberals. Does that sound eerily familiar? Because here in America, we have had numerous instances of young men driving hundreds of miles to kill people. The young men were right-wing fanaticals. The guy that killed the folks in El Paso at the Walmart store there. The guy up in Buffalo not too long ago who killed the people in Buffalo. What about the young man who killed the people in church at Bible study? These were all young men, right-wing fanatics, who went out of their way to kill innocent people. Innocent people. Hitler was able to use the media to spread his lies, to spread his web of deceit. Trump has done the same thing. The same thing. You know, lies about people coming across the border, lies about African Americans, lies, just lies, lies, lies. And people become fanatical with that stuff, enough to where young men drive hundreds of miles to kill people. Not, come. It's sad. It's sad. I'll tell you another comparison that's also very sad. And that is a comparison between Hitler and Trump. The love that Hitler had for his niece and the love that Trump seemingly apparently has, the strange, fascinating love, the strange admiration he has for his daughter. On the Wendy Williams show, Ivanka was asked a question. What's the common thing you and your father have in common? She replied, either real estate or golf. Trump, at the time, his answer was, well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that to her, can I? How many fathers do you know, when asked about a commonality between them and their daughters, would mention sex at all? That's just strange. Look, I know that some of this may look like I don't like Donald Trump. The truth of the matter is, I don't. I don't. I used to be a Trump fan back in the day. I bought the book, The Art of the Deal. I bought the book. And when Trump was elected president, I even went on Facebook and encouraged anybody that followed me on Facebook to give him a chance. I said, look, he's my president now, and he's your president now, and we need to give him a chance. Well, I gave him a chance, and he, time and time again, proved to me that he was not my president, that he did not care for me. He proved to me that I could not trust him. He showed me that he was a racist, and I still believe that today. I do believe that he is a racist. I find it hard to believe for a man to say you have good people on both sides when one side is KKK, white supremacist. There's nothing good about that. Nothing. Let me share something else with you too. There are such things as Christian fanaticals. Marjorie Greene had made a comment saying how proud she was to be a nationalist, a Christian nationalist, as she said. Anytime you put nationalists with a group that you want to be with, I'm very weary of you. Nationalists are racist, bottom line. You go to Europe and you ask them about nationalists and see what they say about nationalists in Europe. And there are a lot of the same things happening in Europe that are happening here in America. That's another thing we have to do. We have to pull our heads out of the sand and realize that this is not just an American issue. This is a world issue. Like I said, I told you about what happened in Norway, and similar things have happened in other parts of Europe. We have to be very careful. I want to be clear about something else. I don't have a problem with Republicans. Not at all. I do have issue with right-wing fanatical Republicans. I don't trust them. And it doesn't mean that I trust all Democrats. KKK members, most of them are Democrats. So I'm not going to tell you that I trust them either. There's something else that KK members are as well, not just Democrats. They also claim to be Christian. So be careful of Christian, what do they call themselves? Evangelicals. I'm very leery of them. It was Christian evangelicals that tried to convince Martin Luther King Jr. to not march, to basically sit and wait and let time change the country. Even the Christians, the KKK Christians. So we got problems here in America, but I am still confident that we can change this. I am still confident that most people in America are good-hearted, good-mannered people who want to see good. But here's where things have to change. Those good-minded, fair Christians in America, people, American citizens, you got to start speaking out. You have to stand up. You have to. I also saw a documentary the other day where you had a white woman who was a Southerner who spoke about how she was raised in the South and raised with bigotry, raised with racism. And she acknowledged that it's there. If you don't see it every day, you may have a difficult time believing that it's there, but it's there. Do you know what changed the civil rights movement in the 60s? It was when media started showing what was going on down south. They started showing women and children being hosed down and dogs being sicked on men. When they started showing that and America started seeing that, America began to have empathy for the plight of African Americans. They took action. I've said this before. If you go to, I believe it's Birmingham, and you go to the Civil Rights Museum there, and you see the number of white people that died trying to do right, died because they supported civil rights. This is not just a black thing. And it really is not just a race thing. I've said this before also. When it comes to power and control, it's not about race. It's about wealth. If you're not a part of the 1%, you're not a part of the 1%. They don't care about you. And that's what I don't understand. Because when you look at what happens down south, the bigotry and the racism that is forced upon people, the results of it, it's not committed by wealthy people. It's committed by predominantly poor white people. Poor white people. And they don't understand that the 1%, like Donald Trump, cares nothing about them at all, as long as they can control them. So look, I don't want to make this show go too long. The article that I had read was by Mr. Cole. The title of the article was 13 Similarities Between Adolf Hitler and Donald Trump. I'll see if I can put a link down below so you can check it out for yourself. But there's a lot more information that talks about these similarities. So just a lot of stuff. The bottom point again is that you and I have to stand up for justice wherever we see it. Remember what Martin Luther King said about justice. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So if it hasn't hit your door yet and you continue to stand by and allow injustice and not say anything, it's going to hit you and you will have nothing to say when it does. We are all Americans and we have to stand for one another, regardless of race, creed, color, economic background. We can do this thing. We have to do this thing because I was going to say it's becoming dangerously. It's not becoming dangerous. It's already there. It's already dangerous. When you have young men driving hundreds of miles to kill innocent people, it's already there. When you have children who are afraid to go to school because they don't want to be part of a mass shooting, and it's not just the students, teachers. There was a survey that said something like 57% of teachers are afraid something's going to happen at their campus. We've got to do something about this, y'all. You know, it can start with something as simple as doing something to cause someone else to smile. It could be a stranger, a family member, a neighbor, a coworker. Do something for no reason to cause someone else to smile, and you will have done your deed in making the world today a better place. I'm going to finish the show today with another quote by Martin Luther King Jr. In that quote, he says, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." That says it all right there. Where do you stand? When do you stand? You have to stand. I hope God continues to bless you, because if you're able to see this, you are blessed. Be good. And remember this. What did David Fry used to say? Be